And here we are live. It's Parshas Vayetzei. And that's the Parsha about ladder. Ladder, ladder, ladder. We start with the ladder and we end up with the spotted sheep and the striped sheep and everything in between. And now I'll tell you how it goes. As they say, what goes up must come down. Here is Yaakov. He just left home. And it says, Vayetzei Yaakov, Vayavo Harana. Now, why does it have to say he left and he came? Two reasons. One, when a tzaddik leaves, there's a diminishment of the power of greatness. There's a void where he left. Like we are now in Scranton. I left New York. I'm sure it's not the same. Vayetzei Yaakov, he left. Also, he left under his mother's admonition. She said, quick, your brother Esav is after you because you took the brachas. And then again, his father said, quick, go and get married. Find a nice wife. And that's exactly what we did. That's how the parsha continues. Then he walks along and he lays down and suddenly it was nightfall and he prays to Hashem. That's where we get the prayer Marin, the later day prayer. Whether it's obligatory or mandatory is a question that is discussed. However, he lays there and there are 12 rocks and they all fight over him. They want him to put his head on top of them. So the rocks unite, the stones unite, and they make one monument, which is later used in the Beis HaMikdash. It turns out that this is a very holy place where Yaakov is resting his head. And then he makes a deal. Remember that expression, let's make a deal, that show from a few years ago? Well, anyway, Yaakov decided to make a deal with Hashem. What was the deal? Hashem, give me bread and water and let me have a way of living and surviving, and then I will be to you as a servant and you will be to me as a God. What is the deal? It's the deal that whenever we need Hashem, we turn to Hashem. And you know what? You are allowed to do that. You are allowed to say, Hashem, I need you for certain things. But we're also supposed to remember that we need only the basics from Hashem. We can ask for everything, but we should always have the basics. And also that it all comes from Hashem. It says that Yaakov was worried he was going to a place that was not very conducive to being a good person. That's why he spends time in the yeshiva before he comes. 14 years learning so that he could be prepared to face Lavan, his uncle, brother-in-law. And he also wants to know that no matter where we are in life, everything is from Hashem, even the simplest things. It's not kochi va'otzem yadi. It's not what I create. Anyway, there's Yaakov, and suddenly, lo and behold, my favorite thing, look, a well, but above it a big stone. Everybody's waiting around to feed their sheep. This is where the sheep comes in. And of course, a beautiful young lady comes across Rachel, and Yaakov sees her and knows right away that this is going to be his future wife. Of course, he cries because he sees down the road that they will not be buried together and that she will die at a young age. So he cries. He sees this prophetically. And there's Rachel and Yaakov. And he asks her father to marry him, and he's given. And he says, I will work 7 years for her. And in those 7 years, he prepared himself. And it says it went so quickly. How did it go so quickly? 7 years, to me, sometimes seems very long. But if it's something you want, and it goes very quickly. So it went very quickly for him. And there he was. And then at the end of 7 years, but let me just interject that he didn't get Rachel right away. There was a little bit of trickery going on, deception. Do you know that thing, what goes around comes around? Well, guess what? He fooled his father. He actually deceived his father when it was Yaakov taking the blessings from Esav. And then, of course, Leah says to him, you deceived your father. I had to deceive you only because I wanted to marry tzaddik. I did not want to marry your brother Esav. And there we have it. She is able to marry him, and Rachel gives her the password. That's where the game password came from. You have to have the secret password, and Rachel was so magnanimous that she did share the password. And that's also why nowadays the bride wears a veil, and the future husband always checks. He wants to make sure he gets the right bride. Then what happens? Rachel and Leah proceed to have children. 7 years he works for the father-in-law, and then another 7 years, and then he continues to work, and it's time for him to leave. He realizes it's time. He has tribe after tribe after tribe. Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Issachar, and God, Naphtali, Dan, Asher. The only one that wasn't born there was Binyamin. He's born much later. And each name is significant for a reason. Perhaps I'll go into one or two. Reuven, because Hashem saw. Levi, because it's accompaniment. Shimon, because he heard. God, good luck. Believe it or not, that's where it comes from. Asher, happiness. Yosef, because it means add on to me another child. Now let me just go to the sheep. The sheep was how he got his In those days, sheep was like oil is today. Anyway, Yaakov says, I only will take the spotted or the striped sheep. In other words, the weirder sheep. It turns out they were the healthiest. He put little sticks in front, and it turned out that many were born. And they go along the way. Yaakov leaves with his 2 wives, his many children, and Lavan comes along, pretty upset, chases them, but he gives them a bracha, and it teaches that even a bracha from a simple person, when given with sincerity, is very meaningful. And of course, the angels accompany Yaakov, and at the border, they switch places. There are special angels that watch over the land of Israel. So any of you who are right now thinking of going to Israel, go. There are special angels there watching, and there's a bracha at the end, and it says that Yaakov halach l'darko v'yifku bo malchim v'yomer Yaakov kashem because this is the holy place. Remember, Hashem will always accompany us. If you want to get rich, start with striped and spotted sheep. And remember, the ladder, you either go up or you go down. You never stay still. Hashem is up there watching. Each one of us, we can ascend to the highest places. We can reach heavenward. We could do great. And even if you go down a little, you can always go up again. It's like the train and the plane. The train continues, it makes progress, but the plane stays up there. Even when it swoops down, it goes up. So each one of you, achieve your own ladder. Get up there, climb to the top. Know that the angels are going to escort you. Know that Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel, is always protected. And remember, Esti had a little lamb, and so did Rachel.